YouTube, what an amazing idea. You allow people to be able to have their own video station and back it with massive amounts of servers and infrastructure. And the platform grew like crazy as independent content creators brought people to the site and you were able to discover more people. I will tell you that I started this specific channel over 2 years ago. Out of the gate, I think my third or fourth video got over 70,000 views. I was doing it for fun. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. I get to spread this message. I get to interact with people. I get to hear people's opinions about my thoughts. This is fantastic. And for a little while, I was getting a decent number of views. Yes, I never eclipsed the 70,000 or came even close. But I would take time to produce the videos. And I would get a good number of views. Today, that is no longer the case. I get far fewer impressions now than I did when I started. An impression being the opportunity for a user to be able to click on an individual because it appears in their feed. Of course, they'll say that the watch time is not great, or the fact that the click-through rate is not so good. Okay, I understand some videos are better than others. That's absolutely true. But my video creation process, in all likelihood, based on the evolution of humanity, has got increased since when I began. So why am I getting fewer impressions, fewer views than when I had 600 subscribers versus the 2,200 that I have? I get more views per video naturally on BitChute, and oftentimes, not always, on Rumble versus YouTube, because they are not just amplifying the corporate media on the political side. They amplify the big channels that they have discretion over. So if you're on the right, if you take a look at your suggested videos on the right-hand side, if you're looking at the desktop, you're going to see Fox News, or you're going to see CNN, or MSNBC. If you're at all political, almost all of them will be from one of these stations. So they're siphoning off all the traffic from the independent content creators that allowed YouTube to grow and were the seeds that created this multi-billion-dollar company. And now they're just giving it over to the same corporate viewpoints. They're not allowing the individual to gain any traction any longer. And here's the thing, I'm an investor in Google. I've been invested in Google since 2010. And I've done enormously well with the company, despite the fact that I sold half of my shares for a small profit, which is a big mistake. But I still have a substantial amount of my net worth in Google stock. And despite this, despite my economic interest being aligned with promoting YouTube, I have switched over to only promoting my Rumble or Odyssey links if at all possible. And sometimes on Reddit, they don't allow these links in certain subreddits. And so I submit a YouTube link on occasion. But I've done all I can to stop promoting YouTube, even though it goes against my economic interest as a shareholder. And I think that what's going to happen is that there are going to be more and more people that get fed up with the censorship, with the strikes that YouTube gives out willy-nilly for scientific reasoning that turned out in the future to be right. You know that people got strikes for amplifying lab leak theory, deplatformed all over, when it turned out that this is now the most likely scenario for the escape of the virus, for stating that masks don't work, or that perhaps the virus might mutate into a less dangerous form. I actually got a strike for saying that the current vaccines will be ineffective in the future because the virus will mutate, and that the current vaccines in the past were only concentrating on one spike protein. I got a strike for that, for medical misinformation. And I think that there are so many other creators that are just absolutely fed up with this. Fed up with the fact, why would I promote YouTube? The only reason to even allow my videos to appear on YouTube is because they automatically propagate to Odyssey and BitChute. Now, I don't get a lot of views on Odyssey, but I do get more views on BitChute naturally than on YouTube. I get 300 something impressions. In the past, I got far more with far fewer subscribers. Tell me that something isn't wrong there if you think that my content creation ability is at least equal to when I started and didn't know what I was doing completely in terms of the editing process or something like that. There isn't a logical explanation other than the fact that YouTube has altered its algorithms that is only propping up the corporate media, and they are losing the goodwill of the creator. I used to be so pro YouTube, so pro Google, and then you see them change the search engines to amplify left-wing content to the top to match their political ideology, not caring about the welfare of the company, not understanding that as a shareholder, I want the best search results to rise to the top because otherwise people are going to use DuckDuckGo, as I have. I've switched over largely to DuckDuckGo, not entirely, because sometimes it's still good to search on Google for an alternative for something that's non-political, because otherwise that's all that they rise to the top is the left wing. And don't tell me that the same isn't happening on YouTube. Don't tell me that these corporate entities don't want more government censorship, because Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, came out yesterday and stated such.
What has been the controversial part has been when there is content that would be deemed as harmful, but yet is not illegal. So an example of that, for example, would be COVID. Like, I'm not aware of there being laws by governments saying around COVID in terms of not being able to debate the efficacy of masks or where the virus came from or the right treatment or proposal, but yet there was a lot of pressure and concern about us distributing misinformation that went against what was considered the standard and accepted medical knowledge. Our recommendation, if governments want to have more control over online speech, is to pass laws to have that be very cleanly and clearly defined such that we can implement it.
I'm done with YouTube. I'm tired of it. And every time that I contact the customer support, they can't give me specifics. They just tell me that the algorithm isn't working as intended. Well, okay, then I'm out. And I'm no longer supporting you, and I urge all other people that are creating content to spread their content around, to go on rumble.com specifically, which is more of a free speech platform, which is not going to give you a strike for saying something scientifically accurate that goes against the consensus that they want to have promoted, which is totally disingenuous on YouTube's part, not to allow the alternative voices, because as we flood the marketplace with other ideas, there will be some that rise to the top. Yet they are curtailing this in an effort to control the narrative, which is something that I find absolutely disgusting. So YouTube, Google, I might still own shares in you because I believe in the technology that you're creating is going to create money in my bank account. But I'm tired of your censorship, and I'm switching my promotion to Rumble. So join me at rumble.com. The link is in the description. The video channel, as is here, is Recharge Freedom. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And if you're a creator and you're watching this, make sure to head over there and drop promoting YouTube. Maybe it's just me, but I guarantee you, I believe that there are many other people with the same experience that I have. Peace out, thumb up the video, share it, and join me at rumble.com. Rumble.com. Recharge Freedom. Peace.